Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
It's the weekend edition of Go Island, and we're headed to the beach for the Brant Festival. The arrival of the Brant Goose, which arrive here by the thousands on these beaches, is celebrated March through April in Parksville and Qualicum. This is the weekend edition of Go Island, and on today's show, Jocelyn Matwee finds out more about Mary Fox, who has been playing with clay since the age of 13. She is a world-class Vancouver Island ceramicist. I think that's how you say that word. But first, there are lots of ideas being bandied about of how to provide more tourist accommodation in Ladysmith. This latest proposal, a story I just did, talks about the residents owning such an establishment. The Brant Festival is actually the brainchild of two Oceanside residents, Neil Daw, who is a retired biologist, he worked for the Canadian Wildlife Federation, and another man here who had owned an establishment in town, formerly the Bayside, Bashir El Khalafawi. I hope I said his name correctly. Now, they got together and thought there's got to be a way to bring people down here to the beach, celebrate the arrival of the Brant Geese. So that started the Brant Festival back in, say, 1990 or so, and it's been continuing ever since. The Nature Trust of BC are now the organizers of the festivities, which continue here for the next month or so. And there's lots to do. I'll tell you more about that later on. And because we're talking about birds, Kelly Robinson met with a man who makes the most amazing bird houses. We'll have that, as well as trying to figure out what those nutritional labels mean when you go grocery shopping and how to eat healthy. Rayanne LaPlante found out about a program called MEND that the city of Nanaimo offers, which helps you decipher what all that stuff's all about. Because of the Brant feed at the tide line, they are especially susceptible and vulnerable to being spooked by humans and especially dogs. That's why a lot of the areas around this time of the year are closed to dogs. So keep the dogs off the beach and let them get their strength back after that lengthy fly in here, as well as build up for their next journey that takes them up to Alaska. Talking about dogs, Kelly Robinson met with a professional dog trainer who is volunteering her time to help dogs at the Parksville SPCA become more adoptable. But first, Derek Johnstone met with the Harewood Community Association, who are trying to make it a friendly place and more activities for youth. They are looking at building up a playground at Harewood's Miners Park. They want to put in a skate park and some other facilities for kids to have a good time. The Brant Goose pretty much flies here non-stop all the way from Mexico. They stop here along these shores in Parksville and Qualicum to feed on herring roe. Now, Pacific herring roe is one of the most vital things to this entire ecosystem. Last year's spawn started at Hornby Island and went all the way down to Gabriola Island. This year again, they're off Hornby. Now, those Brant geese, they have to build up their strength because they're about to start their next long journey, which takes them all the way up to Alaska and beyond, where their breeding grounds are. The BC government says it needs to cut $19 million off the BC Ferries budget, and that's why they're cutting sailings as well as the seniors' discounts. But the question is, did they do any research on what the economic impact of those cuts will have on Vancouver Island specifically? That's the question that Sean Leslie asks this week in BC. Monitoring of the Brant Goose began around 1988, and it's pretty much volunteers that help out with monitoring the activities of the geese that come along to our shores here in Parksville, Qualicum, and there's lots of viewing areas like this one where you can check out the action on the beach. Talking about volunteers, there's a group of volunteers in Parksville. Kelly Robinson learned about a program called Better at Home, where volunteers go into seniors' homes to help them stay there where they're most comfortable. Also on today's weekend edition of Go Island, there's a place outside of Victoria called Boulders, and it's just what you think it is. It's all about climbing. They teach you coordination, climbing skills. Our own Raji did just that. She learned how to climb in this edition of Arbutus Island RV Adventures. Also, making furniture out of sustainable things. Yes, willow furniture. Jocelyn Matwee has that story. More on today's Go Island. You can share your Brant sightings on the Brant Festival Facebook page. You can also tweet them at Brant Festival. The boys in this edition of Clocked head to Gabriel Island in search of a unique and welcoming structure. I wonder if they get stumped. There are a number of events and activities happening throughout the Brant Festival, March right through to April 21st, including things for the kids to do during spring break, which is happening next week. At Rath River Provincial Park, there's a camp. There's also the Fun Fishy Camp and the Ocean Adventure Camp at VIU's Deep Bay Marine Field Station. Registration is required and there is a cost for some of the activities. You can get all the information about the events at www.brantfestival.bc.ca. That's it for this weekend edition of Go Island. Thanks for watching. See you again next week.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions.